Greetings friends, it's me John Ross and I'm here with another fun-filled science activity for you. Today we're going to be talking about mixtures and solutions. Now, in the state of South Carolina, we really began getting into mixtures and solutions in the 5th grade. That being the case, I've got a nice little lab set up for us so that we can explore specifically separation techniques. Now this could be an activity that you use to introduce a number of tools that one can use, or it might be a way to review tools that you have already introduced to your students. Nevertheless, let's talk about this here bowl. We've got a glass bowl and within it we've got a bed of sand, and we have some water on top of that, and then some items that are either floating on the surface or have sunk to the bottom. Now I tell my kids that this here bowl is meant to represent an aquatic ecosystem. It might be a pond, it might be a lake, or it might be a lazy river. Nevertheless, we as humans, we sometimes don't take as good a care of our planet as we should. So there's a bit of litter here and there, and well, we need to do our part to try to clean those ecosystems from time to time. Make sure that those ecosystems are still there for our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren. Nevertheless, those pollutants that are found in this bowl are just some random items that I had laying around my classroom. So let me tell you what I got going on as far as those pollutants are concerned. Firstly, we have a cork or two. We have some candle wax, and then we have some toothpicks. Now those three types of items are able to float because they have a high buoyancy level. And then the rest of the items that are upon this plate and within this ecosystem have a low level of buoyancy. And so, nevertheless, we've got pennies and we have nickels, we have some paper clips, we've got some screws, some dye, as well as some marbles. So, we gotta clean up, right? Well, I like to begin by instructing my students to utilize a spoon to remove those objects that are floating. So this process is known as floatation. So we're just gonna scoop those items that are floating upon the surface and remove them from our aquatic ecosystem in an effort to repair the damage that we have done. Because all these pollutants are not good, of course, for the animals, nor are they good for the plants within that ecosystem. So at this point, we've got all of our items that are floating on the surface. They have been removed. So it's time to shift gears. And so at that moment, I like to ask my students to go ahead and take their magnet and let's see if there are any items that we can remove with the use of our magnet, utilizing magnetic attraction. But before we get in there, I might ask my kids to make a hypothesis. Which of those items that you see that have sunk to the bottom, which of those items now do you think are going to have the ability to be attracted to that magnet? And of course, you might have some kids that say the paper clips or the screw, for example. You might even have a child or two who says those coins. Good old Abe and Thomas Jefferson. But what they will discover, of course, is that those coins do not have magnetic properties. Uh-oh. Well, what must we do? We must find another way to remove those coins and the other items that do not have magnetic properties. We can utilize a sieve. So I can model for my kids or instruct them to go ahead and take their sieve and dig up in there. And they can remove those items that have sunk to the bottom. And we've removed our dye. Now we've got our marbles. And what the sieve is allowing to take place is the liquid is passing through and those tiny particles, those solid particles, such as the sand, are passing through. Now, done buried my my nickels and my pennies, so nevertheless, there we go, we got them. Okay. So, your students at this point have utilized the sieve, they have utilized flotation with the use of this here spoon, and they've utilized magnetic attraction to remove pollutants. we now have a clean ecosystem. So the plants and the animals are rejoicing. It's wonderful. But we can take things a little bit further and ask your kids, is there a way, if we wanted to, not that we have to, but if we wanted to, is there a way that we can separate? Because right now, technically, this sand and this water is a mixture, right? So can we separate those two things? Well, hopefully, maybe, if you expose them to filter paper and funnels, they might be able to direct you in that direction. So you can tell them to go ahead and take their funnel and take their filter paper and pour that water as well as the sand. Woo, making a little bit of a mess here. Into the filter paper. And messes are going to happen, and I tell my kids that all the time. It's okay if we make a mess. It's going to happen. Now, most of that water was drained first. However, the sand that's up in this bowl is still moist. And so what that tells us is that there's still tiny particles of water intermingling, mixing with the sand. So I can take my spoon, pull that back into play, and I can use it as a shovel to scoop the sand into my filter paper. And it's not going to be an immediate success, but over time, what we will find, of course, is that the water will slowly, gravity will pull that water down, and the sand, because the filter paper will be able to trap it, prevent it from passing through, we will have a successful separation of our sand and our water. And that's pretty much it, but it's just an interesting way to allow your children an opportunity to experience a variety of tools that they can use to properly separate some mixtures. Thank you so much, friends. I hope you enjoyed our fun-filled activity, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.